Normally I would be out riding today, but I'm on a bit of a downer. I couldn't almost get out of my bed this morning because of pain in my hips, which has been a common thing in the last few weeks. I've been sitting down way too much on the desk because of different projects that all ask my attention. I'm really looking forward to the winter holidays, which is in 2 weeks, and then I get 2 weeks off, which will be awesome. But first off, let's just head into the studio. I still have some maintenance work to do, and I also want to update you on what is going on. So heyo, let's go. Ooh, studio time. And I have something to install. You might know the box. Got some new bang bumpers for my street machine, and I also need to replace my foot pads because I've been wrecking foot pads for our new winter project, which I'm gonna reveal something about today. And we also started a new podcast for which I'm using this microphone. Don't mind the mess, it's a bit of a mess still in here. Let's put on some additional lights. Make it a bit more cozy in here. Oh yeah, we're in business. So we actually started a podcast together with Mark Koningsby, a guy from the UK. He reached out to me in Portugal when we were there in a bit of a drunk mood to see if I had any interest in popping up a podcast, and we just threw around some ideas, and from that came the Nosedive podcast. It's already online. We already have 2 episodes going, one with the European champion Jay, and then we also have Bart Miller, and we have several other people lined up. We're talking about new product launches, hot news from the community, whatever is going on. If there's some video highlights, we will share them, and we also talk about some interesting stuff with people from the OneWheel community, some of the experts, some are the riders from the streets. Definitely go check it out, the Nosedive podcast on YouTube. And if you just want to listen, it's also available on Spotify. So today, what are we gonna do? Set up this GoPro for an additional angle, whoop, to make sure that we got everything in frame. And today I here have my trick machine. It's my Bodhi center stees. I have the varials on there, and I really wanted to get the pink stees. Actually, when they came out, they dropped them, or they promoted them as the pink stees, but apparently there were only 10 pair of pink varials made, and none of them ever got into Europe. So I had to do with the regular ones. Luckily, Vince, one of our skirt team riders, hooked me up with these. And I really love that setup for street riding tricks and stuff. It's very subtle. It has a very subtle drop, a bit similar to the FAFs, but in a lower amount of degree. And then, it just gives that extra bit of shape to the board. And also when riding out fakie, that tail going up a little bit really helps to get it off the ground. So overall, really pleased with the setup. I just wished I had them in pink. So Bodhi, if you're listening, I already saw you and Cricket running around on them. So if you ever get tired of the pink stees, send them to Europe. So what do I need? I need my little basket to make sure that I can lift my OneWheel to a proper height. And let me just put that here. I have my little cups for all my bolts. I use these to make sure that I know which bolts go where, and I can gather them in these different cups. And what are we gonna do, since this is supposed to be the pink stees? We're gonna throw on some bangs, pink bangs, and also some lifesavers, which I recently got from the Float Life. They finally had the pink ones in stock, and they're supposed to be glow in the darks as well. So they will fit perfectly with the pink bangs. And then, in the future, these pink rails will come to me. Let me show you what bangs. I haven't showed them yet. So these will be the bangs that will go on here, and they will fit nice and snug with the pink from the Lifesavers. So a nice match, and then I will have black foot pads and just the gray rails, which will be a nice combo. And it's always nice to have a fresh setup. It always motivates me to go shred a little bit harder. And since we've been working on a winter project with skirt, I definitely have been shredding hard because I've been breaking foot pads very regularly. Foot pad number 2, gone. So I also need to replace the foot pad because the one screw is totally pulled out, and it's from time to time it's starting to ghost, and that's something that we definitely want to avoid. So let's start out with my toolbox. Where's my toolbox? I have this very nifty toolbox. We do with what we get, and let's just screw these things out of there and replace the bangs. So I already told you about the little skirt project that we have going. It's something that is necessary to keep the motivation going during the winter, because normally the winter time is a period where the one-wheeling is a bit on a downer because of the weather here in Belgium. So we definitely try to get some stuff done with our team to keep the motivation pumping and to make sure that we can all enjoy these stoke machines even during the winter. So you're probably wondering what we are cooking. Whoop. But we love the element of surprise. So I might give you one little tip, and it's something that Bodhi has requested recently. So if you're a fan of Bodhi, and if you're looking to some videos of Bodhi, then you might know what I'm talking about. Chew on that. Let's throw off the pad. It has to go anyway, so I'll take this camera here too. You can see that the bolt is totally sunk in there, and the foot pad is pretty much loose, especially when you loosen up the screws over here. So that is definitely due for replacement. This one in here, nice and snug. Okay, now I really got everything unlocked. And as you can see here, the foot pad is pretty knackered. The whole thing has been a few years old, and you can definitely see that it has done its job and it's time for replacement. So now, can we get that bang bumper out of there? I did start a little foot pad collection already to make sure that we have plenty of foot pads to get through the winter, because things are going hard. That's all I'm gonna say. So both foot pads in there. Let's get to that later. I still need to fix one of those foot pads as well. As you might have seen in Portugal, I had some engagement issues on the new Future Motion foot pad that I bought. Like, it shuts off on me, and I just need to get this exhaust started. Yeah! And I really want to tackle that because there's still a plastic layer in there. And that plastic layer in the new sensors is really for people light as me. I weigh around 67 kilograms. And they really create activation issues for lighter people. I've noticed that people with a bit more weight have no issues activating them. But the plastic layer really needs to go out for my style of riding, especially for tricks, because if you are doing tricks, you really want that sensor to engage properly and fast. That's why I always posy mine. So there's a little tweak that you can do inside the connector to make it posy, and then it already reacts faster, but it really needs the plastic layer taken out. Otherwise I'll be in big trouble when trying tricks with the machine. So let's loosen this up. I always use the little tool because I don't have the strongest fingers. and it's easy with the tool to get these things in there. All right, so we've got that down. Now I can easily turn it around to put on the new bang. Little DIY waterproofing. Everything helps, people, everything helps. So this is the front with the handle. This should go in there. Let's see how snug that fits. Okay, let's throw them on there. So that's why I have my little jars. Now I immediately know that the shorter screws need to go in the front, which is very important because you don't want issues with pinching cables or anything. So that's why it's very important to keep in check which screws or bolts are going. I never tighten them fully because you want to have some wiggle room with all the screws before you start tightening this stuff. You want to make sure everything lines up properly. And that's the case right here. The rails have definitely been battered already. Ooh, I might need to fix the rail first, and that's not a good thing because the hole has become very tight. That's always the thing with changing stuff. You always run into issues while transferring these things because the inserts are really banged up sometimes. There are a lot of big forces going in there. The rail here seems to have a little bit of an edge, which is holding the threads. Okay, I just need to push it inward a bit. And that should do the trick. Yeah. Now I got it aligned. It's still metal, so things are prone to bending. All right, that's starting to look like something. Let's see how it lines up. A bit of a gap here. Here I don't have a gap. There's a small gap on one side. All right, let's first get them finger tight. I still need to add the foot pad on this side. But first, let's undo all of this. Oh, and sometimes the dirt stacks up in the screws. Let me take a knife. Always make sure you have your trustworthy knife with you. With a sharp tip, you can easily pinch all the dust out. There's quite a bit in there. Let's see if that helps. Yes. All right, it's time to say goodbye to the Cowabungas. They served me very well, these bang bumpers, and now I'm gonna keep them as a spare because you never know where you might go. Ooh, squeaky noises. That is the cush for you. I have a cush low on the trick board. I don't like the high on the trick boards because you really don't need to be locked in that much. I rather have a bit of a more flat surface with a small concave as on my skateboard, which is more familiar for tricks and feels more enjoyable for me personally. Okay, let's let the screws into the pad so I know which screws are going. We have one that is really stuck in the bang bumper, but we're gonna get it out, so no issue. I can get a new screw. Just need to get this one. Ooh, out. There's quite some dirt in there. So those are the Cowabungas gone. And new screws in here, so no issue. I have the front bumper on here, and I like to see this. You probably won't see this on camera, but these inserts in the banks are so much more proper than the ones on the Future Motion bumpers, because they really can take an impact. And these are made for tricking, so that's what you really want on your board. Be it any brand, you really want to get a sturdy bang bumper so that you can throw this board at anything, because with freestyle, especially when you do bigger tricks, this board is really going to take some big hits, and for that you really want to have it in a good place. With the bangs. All right, let's flip it. Battery box, and get this one properly lined up. Yeah, seems good. If you do this enough, you'll get a hang of which screws are going where. And on the new OneWheels, I don't own any XR Classic or a GT, but it's supposed to be simpler. They are mainly using the same screws for the machine, which is good. With the XR, you always kind of need to know what you're doing. Get them finger tight. And now get that pad back on there. Nice and snug. All seems to fall in place very well. That's what I love about the Float Life accessories. Everything is perfectly compatible. If you ride the Float Life accessories and you want to mix them up, it's mostly a good fit. You don't want to over tighten them on the softer foot pads, because if you over tighten them, you have the risk of pulling the screws through, because this is a soft material. So just regularly check them if you ride them a lot, and make sure that they are in there. For this side, I'm gonna throw off my black foot pad of the trail machine, because I have the Cush High for that. And then I have two black foot pads, which will be a better steez. Then we have to get the orange Lifesavers off, to make sure that we get the pink steez all over. Already looking forward to this. This is looking neat. There we have the first side, and get them tight. And I always like to do them like do the cross thing. Don't know how you say that in English, but just to get a good distribution of the tightness, so that it evens out when going down. One last quarter of a turn after tightening them, and you should be good. You don't want to destroy the threads by over tightening. Hop, should be good. Just regularly inspect them so you don't lose the screws. And if you lose one, never mind, screws enough in the world. Oh. Okay, just get these tight. And now I will need to go get my other foot pad downstairs. But first, we're gonna deflate the tire and hopefully get these off pretty easily without having to take off the tire, because otherwise I'm a bit screwed. I don't have the tools to replace the tire, so I hope to just get the air out of the tire and easily take these off. I did recently buy a little pump to make sure that I can easily get the air back into the tire. Otherwise I needed to go to the gas station, which always was quite a hassle. I always have the Shupapkin on the top, because I don't want to risk any slime flying out into the room. Okay, let's push it a little bit, that we get that bit of wiggle room. And now the thing is to get those things off. I think I'll have to pop the bead. Not sure if I will be able to pull them off like this. Eventually. So we arrived on the right spot. I'm at Goz's place. He has the tools to help me out with the change of the tire, because I didn't have the tools to take the tire off the bead. Goz has them, so we're quickly gonna pop them off so I can install the pink bang bumpers. Luckily Goz has all the tools to do this stuff, because I was in an awe the last day on how to do it. That's why we have helpful friends. All right, that was quite hefty. We put on the new lifesavers from the Float Life, and they are the rounded ones. And the rounded ones definitely are tougher or more rigid than the ones that I used to have. I used to have these ones, the square ones, and these go on pretty easy because they flex. But these are the glow-in-the-dark ones, and the plastic is a bit more robust. So I hope they will be as protective as these, because these just never die. And I'm under the impression that these are a bit more brittle. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that the pink ones will stay on long enough until I have the pink stees. Bodie, still looking for you. I get my hella small pump, which is gonna be perfect to put air in the tire. Now we don't need to use that big compressor. We're just gonna put this all out maximum and see when the bead pops. Whoop. Finishing touches. Pink stees almost all the way.